let's go ahead and get started. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Valaree Williams, and I am a registered dietitian at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. I'm in our Monmouth campus, and I'm happy to be here with you tonight to talk about ways to add healthy eating to your holidays while still enjoying those holidays. So hopefully we can send you away with some good ideas today. Feel free to add comments or questions in the chat, or let us know in the chat if you would like to make a comment. This is better if it's interactive, so please let me know if you have any thoughts or any great ideas that we haven't mentioned. Right. So the winter holiday season is filled with all kinds of events. I'm sure many of you are in the midst of those right now. And many of them circle around food, sharing food, eating special foods you only eat at that holiday time, making foods together. So it's understandable that it's a hard time to stick to a healthy diet or to be more aware of what you're eating. There are many holiday food traditions. If we were in a room together, I would have you tell me what your favorite holiday food tradition is. In my family, it's making cookies with my grandma. We usually make dozens and dozens of cookies, and then, of course, eat several of those cookies as we go because you have to taste test. Additionally, you have cocktail parties, buffets. Someone else said cookies. You have breakfast treats, cinnamon rolls on Christmas morning, or my grandma used to make chocolate covered cherries. You make gingerbread houses, you drink eggnog, and there's those once a year foods that people only make at the holidays, like stuffing at Thanksgiving. So it's so hard to not get caught up in these traditions, and you want to get caught up in them because they only come so often. So it's challenging to eat well during the holidays because of the temptations, but also busy schedules, holiday events, shopping, trying to take in all the sights. There's also a lot of temptations. I feel like from Halloween on, there's treats everywhere you look. In the office, on people's desks, in your house, there's Halloween candy, and then there's Thanksgiving, and it just goes on from there. There's a lot of distractions too. A lot of things you're trying to do, and eating may not be your priority during that time. So you may be doing more fast food or other easy to prepare foods. And there's also an increased focus on eating. Look at these little guys, aren't they so cute? So today I'm going to talk with you about keeping healthy eating during the holidays, and also just how to build it in so it doesn't feel like work, or it doesn't feel like you're missing out on the celebration. So we're going to talk about 3 different points on being prepared, being nimble when you're eating, and being more mindful in your eating, and also smart moves that can make eating healthy easier for you. So that's what we're going to cover today. I also folded in some ways to make it fun and seasonal. So the first thing that you want to keep in mind is you want to be prepared when you're going to a party, a cocktail hour, a holiday dinner. You want to set yourself up for success. One thing I hear a lot of patients, and even myself included, say is, I'm not going to eat very much on the day of the event, so I can eat as much as I want at night. And I can just go wild. But what happens is you go to the party and you're starving because you haven't eaten all day. And so then you eat the first thing that's not nailed down, and you eat a lot of it. And then you're not enjoying it. You're not taking it in. You're just kind of eating because you're very hungry. So tips you want to think about is still eat your usual meals throughout the day. Consider maybe making sure you're getting in your fruits and vegetables at those meals, because you may not eat as many of those at your event that you're going to, but still try to eat your regularly scheduled meals. Also, if you're going somewhere and you're hungry before you get there, eat a small pre-party snack that combines complex carbohydrates with protein and fat. And that combination is always a recipe for success when it comes to a snack, because it will help you to feel full and satisfied. So things that you can think about is an apple with peanut butter, or a banana with peanut butter, cheese with whole wheat crackers, or fruit and yogurt, or a handful of trail mix. And that's a tip you can always take with you, is if you're looking for a snack that's going to give you a quick and long-lasting energy, that is a combination to consider, is the carbohydrates with the protein. And if you're attending an event where there may not be a full meal served, maybe there's just hors d'oeuvres, or you're not sure how much food there'll be, make sure that you eat a well-balanced dinner, and a dinner that contains protein foods. So like your meat, chicken, fish, beans, eggs, dairy. That way it will help you to feel full, and you won't waste those unnecessary calories on too many like pigs in a blanket or things along those lines. Also, when you're asked to bring something, and many of us are asked to bring a covered dish or something to share, take that opportunity to bring a healthy dish. I know that sounds like a very lame dietitian thing to say, but it's always good to bring something that you're going to feel good about sharing, but also good about eating. And even think about too, if there's a favorite dish you have that you can lighten up a little bit. For instance, like a green bean casserole can be made lighter. That's something to think about as well. If you're trying to eat healthy, guaranteed you're not alone. There's a lot of other people in the room who would love to have some healthier but fun choices, and will really appreciate your effort. So consider bringing something. Also, don't be shy to add those. And you can see here, I'm going to show you on the next page too, you can also make them fun. Fruits or vegetables in the shape of a Christmas tree, or other Christmas or holiday related items can make it seem more festive, when really it's just healthy food in incognito. So that's bringing a fun factor. How do you make bringing healthy foods fun? Because no one wants a sad, limp vegetable tray or a boring green salad. So if you have any ways of healthy holiday foods that you like to bring, put them in the chat so we can see what you would normally take when someone asks you that. I was just asked recently by a client, what would you take to Thanksgiving? And I said a green salad with a lot of fun fall ingredients on it, like pear and apple, pomegranate seeds, pecans, maybe a little blue cheese or goat cheese, and a nice apple cider vinaigrette to really drive home that point. And that sounds like a wonderful addition to the table. So you can see here, I've demonstrated some ways to take holiday flavors, but flip them to be a little bit healthier. So you can see some wonderful roasted squash, also some twice baked sweet potatoes with some pecans on top, some roasted Brussels sprouts with pomegranate seeds, and some butternut squash soup. So still very seasonal flavors, but changed up a little bit from the sweet potatoes with marshmallows that we all grew up on and love, or the soupy green bean casserole. So some nice ways to think of things differently. Or you can also make it fancy. Who doesn't love something that's a little out of the ordinary and something we don't have all the time? One of my personal favorites for fancy but healthy is shrimp cocktail. That's like my go-to indulgence. And it's actually very low in calories and high in protein. Also things like pickles, pickled vegetables, olives, another great addition, hummus with vegetable dippers, or you can see here this beautiful salad that is arranged like a wreath. So it looks festive, and makes salad much more appealing. Who wouldn't want to dig into that? So that's another way to kind of think about bumping up that fun. Move on. Sorry, things are sticking a little bit here. All right. Your next step would be evaluate your options. And if you ever go to an event where there's a lot of dietitians, you'll see that we're not very fun sometimes. We all walk the entire buffet to see what's out there before we get in line. But the reason we do that is we want to use our calories and our nutrition wisely. And so we don't want to fill up our plate with things that aren't that really worth it, when all the good stuff might be on at the end. And that's what you want to do. The same thing when you're at a meal, you want to determine what are you going into and what are your priorities. So you want to scope out the situation to determine what the event's going to be like. Is it past appetizers, a sit down meal, a buffet? Is it just desserts? Do they have a lot of good drinks? Is that a restaurant where they have a really great bar and there's a cocktail you're going to want to have? That way you kind of know what you're going into. My husband has his holiday party tomorrow and it's at a new job, so we haven't been to it before. And I'm like, well, what kind of food is it? What is it, past hors d'oeuvres? Because I want to get to the good stuff, you know, so it's good to know a little bit more detail. Also, before you fill your plate, assess what's out there. See what you must have. What is worth getting room on your plate? And what are items that you eat all the time or just don't look as good that you're going to pass up? You also always want to look for a couple different foods to fill your plate. One is your high protein food, especially if it's a meal. So that would be like at Thanksgiving, your turkey or your ham. If you're a vegetarian, that may be your tofu or your beans. But the protein is important because it helps you to fill you up and keep you full. So you always want to try to have that high protein on your plate. Fish is another great protein, or seafood that you may see at some of your holiday events. And then you want to have your filler. And your filler is something that's low in calories, but high in fiber, high in water, and is going to help you feel full. And that's oftentimes your vegetables. So your cooked, your raw vegetables or your salads are going to be things that can help to fill you up. Also, soups are another great filler. And so that combination is going to let you enjoy those foods that you love, like that cheesy macaroni and cheese, or that pasta Alfredo, or those mashed potatoes. It's going to let you enjoy those because you're filling up on those two other essential components. You also want to think about if you plan to have an alcoholic drink or if you're going to eat dessert. That way you can pace yourself and kind of know how much you should be eating as you go through the event. You also want to be picky. I always tell people I'm getting too old to eat a bad cookie. You know, life is too short. Don't feel like you have to eat everything that's offered at a party. Focus on things that you love or things that are only available at this time of year. You know, if you're looking at something and it doesn't look appealing to you, don't take it. Don't waste the calories on that. So if you're seeing the same old green bean casserole that's always available, or the supermarket cheddar on a Ritz cracker that you can eat any night of the week when you don't want to make dinner, don't choose it right now. You know, prioritize your choices. Also, if you put something on your plate and you don't like it, don't feel the need to eat it unless, you know, your grumpy aunt is watching you and she made it, then you might have to eat it. But otherwise, don't feel like you have to force food that's not enjoyable for yourself. Also, be mindful of the calories that you drink. We all know for out, it's nice to have a drink, but they can add up quickly. And also, if as you drink more, your inhibitions can come down, and that can lead you to eating more snacks. So sip on your drink slowly. Also, it can be nice to alternate with a non-alcoholic drink like a seltzer or a club soda with lime. That way you're still feeling festive and look like you have a drink, which can help some people feel better, but you're not getting as many calories and as much alcohol. Keep in mind things that we often drink at the holidays, like eggnog, can add up really quickly. A half a cup of eggnog can contain 200 calories. My family likes to push eggnog. I personally don't even like it, but I drink it because they're pouring it in my glass. And so that's one of those things where I should say no eggnog, I'm good, because it's not worth it to me. So let's talk about how to make this part a little more fun. Make food a conversation. Oftentimes, if you're at something that's a potluck or everyone brought a dish, there's usually a story behind maybe what they brought or a family recipe. So ask them to tell you about what they brought, like what's in the salad or how do you make the hummus? Because you may actually find out that it's a really rare recipe that they only make once a year or that their grandma taught them, and it might help you choose what foods you're interested in. It may also add a little more conversation to the table, especially if it's with people that you don't talk to too often. Also, if you're going to a restaurant, I always like to find out what their specialty is. What are they known for? What do people always order when they go there? And consider ordering that instead of that same old roasted chicken that you normally would order at any old restaurant. And also share a few dishes with a friend. That way you can try more options. So if you're somewhere and they have a lot of different options, get a sharing plate or get a couple appetizers. That way you get more flavors without bigger portions. Also try a mocktail, especially if you're, want to alternate back and forth. So something like apple cider with some club soda in it to make it sparkly, or club soda with cranberries juice, as you can see here, things like chai tea. That way you still feel like you're having more than water and you're being festive, but you're not consuming as much amount. Next, let's talk about, as we alluded to a little bit ago, adding some filling foods and beverages to the fun. And so at meals, as I said, you want to put that high protein food on your plate along with your fruits and veggies. And I love this example here of the Santas that are strawberries with whipped cream. And the caprese kebabs are nice ways to get the veggies in a more fun manner. Also think about drinking a glass of water before you eat. Because a lot of times too, when you're thirsty, and this can be a great tip for any time, when you're thirsty, it can come across as hunger. And so a lot of times when we really just need a drink, or a drink would be helpful to us, we're eating. And I don't know how many of you have felt that way. I know I feel that way sometimes, because eating is more fun than drinking. So I'll be like, I'll just have a snack, when really I probably needed a glass of water. So you want to make sure that you're drinking some water before you eat. That way you're getting the hydration in, so that you're not eating to try to fill that void of hydration. You also want to choose water, low-calorie drinks like a seltzer or unsweetened tea, hot tea. Those can all be nice options. And then, consider consuming a low-calorie beverage between each of your alcoholic beverages. So how do you make this fun? I thought these were some really cute ideas of how to make fruits and vegetables more festive. There's so many great ideas out there. And if any of you have ever made any of these, I'd love to hear from the audience. I thought those pops, like with the Santa hats, are really cute, but you can make a wreath as a veggie tray. There's lots of ways to make fruits and vegetables really fun. For Halloween and Thanksgiving, I saw where you can take a clementine and unpeel it, then kind of put a little piece of celery as the stem. And that's another really cute way to get fruits to be more fun and kind of make kids and adults want to eat them. And also set up a mocktail or a hot beverage bar. So, everyone likes to have a nice garnish in their drinks. So alcoholic and non-alcoholic, have some fruits for garnish, or some other herbs, cucumbers that people can kind of doctor up their water and their seltzer and still feel festive and included in a healthier way. Also, when I was putting this together, I thought it would be great to have a hot beverage bar with a lot of fancy tea bags and some creamers and some different flavored coffees and maybe some hot chocolate. That way, the healthier non-alcoholic choices are as fun as the alcoholic choices. I'm going to push for a hot beverage bar at my next family event, because who doesn't love a nice, warm, fun drink in the winter? And next, you want to think about portion control. And I know that none of this is what you want to be at the top of your mind, and it doesn't need to rule your holiday, but they are things to think about, and more so to bring just mindfulness to your food choices every day. So a lot of these tips are applicable outside of the holidays as well. One is to use a small plate. It instantly helps to limit your intake. Studies show that if you have a big plate, you're going to have big portions. If you have a smaller plate, you're more likely to be satisfied with a smaller amount of portions. Your eyes want to fill whatever space you give them to fill. So thinking about trying to use a smaller plate, a salad plate, a side plate is a nice place to start. You want to fill half your plate with fruits and veggies. This can be a challenge. Even as a dietitian, it's something I have to really push myself to do, to try to have more fruits and veggies on my plate in smaller portions of those beloved carbohydrates. So you want to think when you're setting up a plate, you want half of it to be fruits and vegetables. More vegetables than fruit, but half of it to be fruits and vegetables, a quarter to be your carbohydrates. So that's where your stuffing, your mashed potatoes, your sweet potatoes, your pasta go in that quarter, and your other quarter is your protein. And when you can get close to that ratio of proportions, you're building a plate that's going to fill you up, keep you full, and manage the calories because you're keeping those higher calorie items in smaller portions. So that's always an easy way to think about, am I building a healthy plate, is thinking about those ratios. Also, if you're somewhere like a steakhouse and they have really big steaks, keep in mind that the portion size of protein is recommended to be about the size of the palm of your hand or a little bit bigger. So you want to make sure that when you're enjoying protein, it is important, but it shouldn't be a steak as big as your head, contrary to if it's on the menu. Another thing that can be helpful is to put your distance between yourself and the food. If you're standing next to the buffet, what are you going to do? Probably grab things as you're talking because it's right there. If food is in your grasp and in your sight line, you're going to go for it. We all are. So move away from the food table, which will make you think twice before you keep grabbing food. Also, if you're at an event where the food is just out the whole time, once you're done eating, pop a mint or chew some gum. That way it makes you think before you put more food into your system. And then think out of sight, out of mind. I can tell you right now, I have a bag of cookies on my counter that my godchildren made. I have to put them away because if I see them, I need one. So put your treats in a cabinet, or better yet, share them with others. You know, give some cookies to your coworkers or some Halloween candy, and kind of share the love so that it's not calling your name every time you walk by. And one other trick would be to sit down and enjoy your food. I can't tell you how often I'm at something and I'm talking and I'm eating and I'm not even registering what I'm eating. So set up your dining experience to enjoy your food and appreciate what you're eating. So use a plate rather than grabbing things straight from the buffet and putting them in your mouth or straight from the server and eating them. Put them on the plate and register like, hey, I have 3 shrimp and 2 pigs in a blanket on my plate. These look really good. I'm excited to eat these. Because sometimes your brain and your stomach, they don't communicate very well. So if you give yourself more time to recognize what you're eating, you're going to enjoy it more. You're also going to get more satisfaction and fullness from it. And sit down if you can to eat and try to focus on what you're eating versus doing a bunch of things at one time. And that's important for everyday good nutrition, is distracted eating, eating while driving or eating while working. You're not registering that food. And then you look up and the whole sandwich you had on your plate is gone and you didn't think about one single bite of it. And I know I'm guilty of that working from home. I tend to maybe eat and work a little more than I should. Also think about appreciating the bigger picture. I think sometimes people are like, I have to eat healthy every day. I don't want to derail my healthy eating. And that is true, but you also want to take in everything. And there's more to the holidays than food, if you can think of it that way. So make sure you're also focusing on family, friends, laughter and cheer, the socialization that comes with the holidays. Also, if balance and moderation are your usual guides in your diet, it's okay to enjoy. Like if you're typically someone who eats a relatively well-balanced diet or does well even 50 or 75% of the time, and you want to have that ice cream sundae, it's okay. It's not going to derail your diet. It's just going to let you enjoy your time. Also think about increasing exercise by planning activities, around the holidays, such as ice skating, a snowball fight, or a group walk to admire the Christmas lights. That way you're building in both enjoyable food, but also you're doing something together, and moving your body and maybe working off that turkey you just ate, or just getting some additional exercise as well. And there's a lot of fun ways to get exercise in the winter. You just have to think about it and bundle up a little bit. So I'll open it up if anyone has any questions or any comments that they want to make. I hope that you all have a wonderful holiday season, and thank you so much for joining tonight. Library staff, I don't know if there's anything you want to add. Ooh, I see a question here for chicken ideas. That's a tough one, because chicken is something that we eat a lot. I'm personally a big fan of the grocery store rotisserie chicken, because I think it can be really easy to have and repurpose. So in our house, we eat the chicken as is a night, and then we have something like bean and black bean, corn, and chicken quesadillas to use up the leftovers, which can be a really nice option. I also think chicken dishes, like things like chicken cacciatore, can be really nice in the winter, or any kind of braised chicken dish can be a nice way. Also, you will sometimes see, I think a great way to do chicken is like a sheet pan meal, maybe like a balsamic pieces of chicken in balsamic dressing with like green beans and potatoes, and you cook it all in the same sheet pan. Can be a really nice option to give you some good food choices. One of my favorite healthy eating is Eating Well has a great website. I really like their recipes. I think they're easy a lot of times, and they usually incorporate a lot of healthy principles. So, but yeah, chicken's one of those tough ones. Anything else before we let you go for the night? Let me see what the chat says here. Great. Yeah, the activity idea is fun too. I think I'm going to drag my family around looking at Christmas lights this year, because sometimes you eat a lot of food and then it's cold and dark and you sit inside. But I think if we got a hot drink and went looking at Christmas lights, that would be really fun. And it's also a great way to make non-food memories for the holidays, and sometimes great traditions too. So, well, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again in the future, and happy holidays.